Yeah, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. The Rebels Party crew scene of the 1990s. Man, were those the days. I can't even imagine what a lot of these millennials and Generation Ys are doing in their parties these days. But back in them days, man, it was crazy as fuck. No kind of political correctness, no kind of filter on anybody. Everybody just talking shit and having a good time. I couldn't imagine, taking myself from those days, 14, 15, 16-year-old, and blasting me into the future of today and going to one of these parties and sitting there with just total shock on my face like, what the hell are these people talking about with gender pronouns and safe spaces and safe words, and you got to ask somebody, how am I supposed to address you, and are these topics cool? No kind of filters, man. Yeah, I couldn't imagine having fun at any of these parties today. But yeah, back in them days, it was wild. It was crazy. The Rebels party scene had actually evolved from something from the mid-'80s to late 80s when it was more about the party crews were more into like the mini trucks, like the little Honda or the Nissan mini trucks with the big-ass speakers in the back just bumping down the street. And some of them even had raised trucks. You had a crew that was out in East LA. They used to call them the Wild Stompers. Yeah, it's true. That's what they call them. Then, like I said, you had the Total Pleasure Boys, the Rambunctious Rebels, Wild Rebels, freaking wickedly tasteless, tasteful, whatnot, Ladies of Seduction, flirtatious centerfolds, whatnot, wild Playboy bunnies, Ladies of the Bunny, all kinds of different party crews. And usually, like, these girl crews, like, we was always trying to get with them, man. But we were straight, like I said, tag banged out, gang banged out, whatnot. A lot of these girls wouldn't touch us with a 10-foot pole, but you could pull them. You could pull them almost all the time. But a lot of these girls were just all about show. We're all about being flirtatious. You could look, but you can't touch was the motto for a lot of them. They would get up into these piles and just in these parties and just act a fool. But yeah, I remember first seeing a lot of this around 1987, 88, 13 and 14 years old, running around, going to these different flyer parties, house parties, parents be out of town, just totally take over the house. If you remember, there was a few movies that were popular in the late 80s and the early 90s, House Party. It was like that. Pajama parties, pillow parties, sleepover parties, whatnot. Rarely, if ever, was it a sausage fest. There was always packed with, like, beautiful honeys coming from all over the county and all over 2 or 3 different counties to come out there and get their freak on. I don't know how many times, though, these parties have caused problems. They never end well. They either end with the cops breaking them up, somebody getting shot, stabbed, something happened, the place getting shot up, somebody getting beat up, a different crew shows up, dude finds his old lady in there, gets jealous, starts all kinds of problems. I even remember one time, not going to say where this cat's from, not going to throw his name out there, but he was from a pretty deep barrio, right? And his little sister just had her quinceañera. And she was up in this house party, and he had me and a couple other my homies go with him. And he had a couple of his homies with him. We went up in this place, and his little sister was up there on top of the coffee table just dancing the fool up in her panties and her bra, and they were just dousing her with beer and all that shit. And she had already had sex with like 3 dudes that night, from what I understood. Turned out to become pregnant, but and things always happen, man. Them house parties were basically a celebration, fresh out the quinceañera for a lot of these girls. I don't know how many of them got pregnant at one of these house parties, fresh out the quinceañera. It was crazy. But we were always rushing these parties. We were always raiding them, always causing problems. Went up to this one house and bombed up the whole side of it. And they went up there, and then a lot of the DJs, like the DJ scene was big. If you were a DJ, you were getting all the fine ones. You were getting paid big to host one of these parties, to scratch them records, to mix them tapes, to get it going, to get the flow going. Because if you didn't have a DJ at your house party, you weren't it. A lot of people tried to make it up with the karaoke box or turning the stereo up loud, but then you got those tapes. You got them cassette tapes. How many times, man, I've seen the tape shooting out the side. Motherfucker didn't clean his heads or whatnot. This is before CDs. or you put the record on. People are jumping down. A lot of people, there'd be a dance contest, or even there was still some breaking going on. Breakdancing contest, the minute the dude hits the floor, bam, the vibration knocks the record off track. Not only that, though, but there was always that rival crew that would show up and crash the party. If their party didn't get no hits, they're passing out flyers. I even seen two girls going at it in the parking lot of the high school over their flyers that they were putting on all the windshields, just beating each other up, tearing each other's flyers down, ripping them up, all that shit. These flyers would be all over school, especially when the summer came. House parties everywhere. Parties going on all over the place. Hotel parties were big too. A lot of these party crew scenes would take over like a whole wing of a hotel or a motel somewhere, just rent out all the rooms and have all the doors that were connecting going into one or the other, just straight destroy them. The rave scene, not a lot of the party crews really touched that. That was more for, like I said, the ravers, taggers, tag bangers, whatnot. They had that pretty much locked in. But the house party scene, sometimes like if you were in a condominium complex or an apartment complex, you would rent out the clubhouse and it'd be going on there. But we was always rushing these places and having problems. Having problems with that one crew, Total Pleasure Boys, and I don't even know how that shit started. Started over some Heina, of course. But yeah, anytime they would have something going on, we were right there to start some shit. But like I said, man, if you were in a relationship with a girl and she told you she was going to go hang out with her friends a Friday night or a Saturday night, guarantee you, if they ain't cruising Leg, Whittier Boulevard, they up in one of these house parties. And you could probably end up bumping into one of them by accident. My boy, man, he had that problem with his lady. She was from some little party crew out there in Montebello, and she was always cheating on him. We was always running to one party to the next trying to find her, and always find her in a dark back bedroom, smoke everywhere, smelling like straight funk. I don't know why he stuck it out with her, but he ended up getting married to this girl. But yeah, it was like that. I still remember this one chick, right? Her name was Monica, and she was from a party crew called Flirtatious Centerfolds. And this chick was bad. I mean, she was bad. First time I ever seen her was at Studio K at Knott's Berry Farm. And Studio K was another hangout spot. If you couldn't get the house party going, a lot of these party crews would merge right there. And whoever was the best, had the best dance moves, whatnot, then you're going away with something. But you always had them knuckleheads like me and all the rest of them. All the people that were banging all piled up in the back, holding up the wall. Just posted up, arms crossed, 1 foot up on the wall, head up, always like that, Mad Dog and all these dudes. Straight jealousy in a lot of ways. They were the ones that were the pretty boys that got all the girls. It's funny now, right? That the pretty boys back in them days, you know, with the manicured nails and all that stuff and the hair all whatever it was, eyebrows all plucked all nice, with their pants all tight, especially tied around the ankles. That's the new gangster look for today. It's crazy how shit's changed. But a lot of us back in the days, like, we see these dudes nowadays that are talking about they gangsters looking like Tekashi 6ix9ine and everybody else with they tight-ass pants on and all that shit. We remember when those were the pretty boys, man. Those were the disco dudes, the fucking party crews, the rebel guys, all that shit. Couldn't stand them. Straight jealousy, though, of course. But yeah, we couldn't stand them nonetheless. But they started banging themselves. I mean, these cats would start banging back. It just, you get sick of it after a certain amount of time. And you could see in a lot of these rebel party crews, when you look at their pictures, they posted up, they throwing up the signs, they throwing up whatever signs of their crew was. Whenever they're cruising down one street, whether it be over there on Bristol in Orange County, Whittier Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard was usually like the neutral spot where everybody cruised. I don't really know where like the higher class white people used to cruise around. I know they had some spot, mostly like PCH and out there in like Newport Beach was their main stomping ground for cruising, going up to the Rocky Horror Picture Show and whatnot. But the cruise nights was always usually like a Saturday night. Parties were the Friday nights. That's usually how it went down, and sometimes it would reverse. But these party crews, man. But the Flirtatious Centerfolds, I had been trying to court this girl, Monica, for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, the main thing that I had locked her in and caught her attention with was my eyes. I mean, it just, a lot of the girls and stuff, I could show you older pictures of me when I was a kid. They used to say that I looked like the Karate Kid, like Ralph Macchio. I don't know where they got that from, but a lot of them said when I was younger I looked like him. So it was kind of a way for me to mingle in. And in a lot of ways, I was a pretty boy myself. Most of us were. We were young. Some of the pictures, and I don't have many of them left, but some of my older homegirls and some of my older homies every now and then will show me one, and I'll be like, damn, man, we were all pretty boys. We just thought we was bad, but we weren't shit, really. But, you know, going up in there, finally getting Monica and some of her friends to go over to my homie's house, my homie Sean's house, because his parents were gone. Place was a wreck. We spent all day cleaning this house, getting it all decked out, ready to go pick up these girls. We go get with my boy, and he's got this big old van, one of those big old Chevy vans or whatever they are, kind of like the Econo van, the multi-seater one, and we loaded up with all these girls from the party crew. Straight mood kill, buzz kill, right from the rip. You can hear them in the back. They all went on their period the exact same day. The exact same day they all went on their period. So me and my homeboy, we're sitting in the front, and we look at each other, and I'm just like, damn, man. For reals? All of them are on their period. Nothing happened at this party. I mean, you could kiss them, you can hold their hands, dance with them, freak with them, but they were all on the rag. There was nothing else that was going to happen with them. And it was such a buzzkill. I mean, everybody just sitting there drinking their Coronas, playing Spy Hunter on Nintendo. Sometimes people busted out the Ouija board, or you're playing rummy with this girl, and that's all there was to it. I mean, none of them even really made themselves up. Didn't really have all the makeup and have their hair all decked out like they normally do. Moody as fuck. We all slept there together, though, in a big pile in the living room right next to the fire. But that's all it was. Nothing else happened. Never could get them for another run back with them. But I ended up pulling Monica a little while later. Not too much longer later, but yeah, that's another story, man. But yeah, Knott's Berry Farm was the spot for a lot of these party crews, gangs, tag bangers, whatever it was, death rockers, punkers, skinheads. It was just like, fuck, Knott's Berry Farm on a Saturday night. Studio K on one side, Cloud 9 on the other. Always some shit at the end of the night. They had to shut those clubs down because of how much drama we put it through. But the house party scene, like I said, if any of you remember them, I don't know how many girls lost their virginity in one of those. I don't know how many dudes lost their virginity in one of those. How many broken hearts have occurred behind one of those house parties? How many times did you think that your girl, her parents weren't going to let her out? Or you told your girl that your parents ain't going to let you out. You're trying to avoid each other and you bump into each other at that party. Reminds me of some other girl named Stephanie. She used to run with a whole different tag crew. She could like break dance and do all that shit. We ended up scamming one night because that's what it was called, scamming. Got freaky in a party, ended up going all the way to the home plate. And the next thing you know, I'm trying to give her dust every time she's calling me, whatnot. And I told her, yeah, I'm not going to be going out this weekend. I'm going to be hanging out with the family. Show up at a party, and guess who's there? And then it just starts straight problems because now all her boys want some problems with me and my boys. And the whole place got thrashed and destroyed. Somebody get thrown through the window. All that shit, bullet holes, somebody getting stabbed. Couch got set on fire. Them house parties were wild, man. Like I said, I can imagine nowadays these kids, when they get in these house parties, how nobody wants to, like, back it was called a slam pit. And sometimes you go to those crazy, like, skater parties or whatnot, they would start a straight slam pit, mosh pit, whatever, and everything's getting destroyed. I can imagine these kids now, ow, oh, ow, why are you being so violent? Or somebody straight calling somebody a derogatory name and then 3 people jumping up, talking about check your privilege and stop using fucking inappropriate gender pronouns and all. God, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But back in those days, the one that I left out the most, that was probably the best that you can get, was going to a lake party, a river party, or a pool party. Skinny dipping all the way through. Everybody's butt naked in there. You get to see what everybody's working with. Every girl, every dude, whatnot. You know, so you already know what the girl's got going on. She knows what you got going on. And if she caught your eye and you caught her eye, it's going to happen. The magic's going to happen in the Blue Lagoon. Yeah. A party scene. Damn. Always violent but fun at the same time. I mean, we would be trashed, smashed, just hung over, shot out, stinking like puke and sweat and everything in the morning. But we couldn't wait to start it all over the next week. And it was just like that. You work all week long at whatever job you have, side job, part-time job, collecting cans, working at the swap meet, whatever it is, just to save for the weekend. So straight roll down Whittier Boulevard or go to the house party. You got to find that flyer and you got to get there. We would always find them flyers and go there just to wreak havoc if we didn't like who was there. You already know what it is, and you heard it right here. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, non-sugarcoat, non-politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality, and I'm out.